Koine, and welcome to Parsing John. Today we're in Chapter 1, verse 39, starting a new page. Didn't have quite enough space on the last one. This is the rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this text. Let's go ahead and get started. Legei autois erkeste kai obseste eilthon un kai edan pu menei kai par autoi menan tein hemeran akanein hora ein hos decate. That's as far as we're going to go through today. Very first word in our sentence is also a verb, which is nice because that's what we wanted to find first. This epsilon iota here tells us, and based off of the stem leg, that this is a third person, singular present tense, and it is active and indicative. He says, autois here has omicron iota sigma, which is dative plural. And it is masculine or neuter. It's going to be masculine in this case because we know he's talking to John the Baptist's two of his disciples. So to them. This is going to be a direct quote here. Erkeste. Epsilon, sigma, theta, epsilon here, which is our ending, and it is a second person plural. And this looks like it is built off of the present stem. Almost had stents, which is not a word. Erkomai. And this is a deponent verb, which means it appears in passive or middle form, but is translated normally. And this is either indicative or imperative. It's not quite easy to tell without greater context, but I'm going to assume imperative, since they just asked him a question. Means come. Kai is conjunction meaning and. Obseste, this is the same exact ending, second person plural, except this time it's off of the future stem of horao opsomai. So it's a future deponent. And it is indicative. This means you will see. And if we take it with the middle meaning, then we would want to add into that for yourselves. But this word is normally deponent in the future, so that might be reading too much into it. Hence the brackets. Parentheses, sorry. Eilthon here looks like we've got a change of subject. So that means our quote is going to end right there. Alpha nu right there is a third person and plural ending. Ilth is our aorist stem, and it's active and indicative. They came. Un just means therefore. Kai and. A don alpha nu again, third person plural. This is horao opsomai adon, aorist again. And it's active and indicative. Saw. Pu is a type of word that I can never remember the name of, but it means where in this case. This is frequently used to introduce questions, meaning where. But in this case, that's not what's actually happening. Mene, epsilon iota off of our present stem men is going to be third person, singular, as I said, present, active, and indicative. He, sorry, I should capitalize that, is staying. So we're going to use the present progressive. Kai means and. Par, here we've got an alpha that has dropped out of this because of our vowel right here. And as you can see from autoi, this is going to be taking the dative as its object. Emenon is a verb, so this ends our prepositional phrase here. And when para takes the dative, it means at, by, near, or with. And there's a couple other options, but we don't have space, clearly. This is going to mean him. Emenon, alpha nu here is another third person plural. because we have this augmenting vowel. We know that this is going to be the aorist stem. If there was an im before it, then we know that it would be from the perfect stem. So no aorist here. Active and indicative. They stayed. Tain, hemeron, kainin. Tain here is accusative, and this one is two, so these all go together. And that's a person in the background, in case you were wondering. Accusative, singular, feminine, because of the article. That is what's telling us the gender of this word. This means the, this means day, and kainin means that. Now, since we have all of these in accusative, and they're not going to be the direct object of our verb since our verb doesn't take an accusative, the function that we have going on here actually is, I don't think I have quite enough space, but this is going to be a accusative of duration or accusative of extent of time. Yeah, just go over that word. Extent of time for the that day. Semicolon. So far we've got they came, therefore, and saw where he is staying, and they stayed probably with him or near him for the that day. Interesting way of saying things. Hora, and then ain. Ain here is a verb. This comes from Amy. This is third person singular imperfect tense, and it's active and indicative. Was hora. This alpha here from hora, horas, is a first declension nominative singular feminine. Means hour. Hos is one of those very frustrating words in those other languages, not English. English doesn't have any frustrating words. This one means as or just as, except in the special constructions, which we do not have here. Our verb doesn't tell us, but it isn't introducing one of those. So, simple as, which is nice. Decate. Decate is, of course, nominative, singular, and feminine as well, and it means 10th. Period. No article there. I don't think there's any cleaning up that we need to do. So let's go ahead and take a look at it in its own context and then bring in from 35. He says to them, "Come, and you will see, possibly for yourselves." They came, therefore, and saw where he is staying, and they stayed with him for the that day. Hour was as the 10th. So far in its own context, from 35. On the next day again, the John had stood, and two from his disciples, and having looked at the Jesus, walking about, he said, "Behold, the Lamb of the God." And the two disciples heard him speaking, or his speaking. And they followed along with, or along after, the Jesus. But having been turned around, the Jesus having been turned around, and having seen those following along with him, he says to them, "What do you all seek?" But those ones said to him, "Rabbi," which is said, being translated, "Teacher, where are you staying?" He says to them, "Come, and you will see." They came, therefore, and saw where he is staying, and they stayed with him for the that day. Hour was as the 10th. Shouldn't have thrown the in there. Anyway, there is our greater context. Now we want to go through and check here for proper nouns, if any of them appear without an article. We don't have any names up here. Really, the only noun that we have without an article is hora, so this doesn't really fall into our category, but if we were to treat it that way, we have two options. We could just leave it as hour was as 10th, or we could say the hour was as the 10th. The first way sounds awkward. Sorry, not the hour. A hour was as a 10th. The first way sounds awkward without the indefinite article, but with the indefinite article, it makes even less sense. It doesn't really fit our category, but there we go. Thank you very much for joining me. Chapter 1, verse 39. I hope you continue along with me as we get closer and closer to the end of this chapter. Have a good day.